You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and we are so excited because today's talk is about achieving the impossible. Now, that's going to be different for all of us, right? The impossible could be for some having a family, having kids, right? Impossible for others is going to be like our guest today who flies airplanes with no arms. And so it's really going to be different for everyone, but it's about getting out there, not just saying we're going to do something in life, but actually taking the measurable steps to achieve it. So we're going to be talking about that. And our inspirational guest, Jessica Cox, again, no arms, flies planes. It's just an amazing story that I can't wait to share with you. I really want to make sure, though, that beyond today's show, that it's not just about other people going out there and living their greatest life, but we want you to get the motivation when you need us most. So whether you are at home and you want to go to livingfullout.com, you can hear all of our episodes there, or go to the App Store, look for the Living Full Out Show app, and you can listen to us in the car or at the gym, whatever we can do to keep you on track to what you want to achieve. So I'm getting a word from our producer that we do have a listener on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I have a question.
Yes, how can I help you?
So, I've been struggling with motivation when it comes to starting my day, and I was wondering if you had any tips on how to combat that.
Gosh, you know what? It's so interesting that you say this because the other day I was just tired. It had been a week and it was Thursday and I knew more was to come. And I, in my own way, even was Googling things about, inspirational quotes for the morning. So it's so funny. But I do have some ideas for you that have worked for me and others that I know. But I'm just curious, though, what is the biggest, what hurdle or what holds you back in the morning? Is it that you're tired? Is it that you just have no drive, like you're not sure really what you're getting out of bed to?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a combination of both. Mm-hmm. But I do notice that if I sleep in later, then it's almost like I'm more tired and it's harder for me to get up.
Do you have a sleep schedule? Like, do you go to bed kind of the same time every night and naturally wake up at the same time every morning?
Yeah, I do. But I do go to bed kind of late sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is kind of late? Is that like 11 or is that like 1?
So it kind of bounces between 12 and 1.
Mm-hmm. And why are you up so late? Is it just because you're a night owl and the energy's still flowing till that time?
Yeah, I'm definitely a night owl, and I think I'm just used to it because when I'm in college, I'm usually up late, doing schoolwork or studying.
Mm-hmm.
So going into the summer, it kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, and do you want to become more of a morning person? Is that why you're looking to kind of make this change?
I do. I notice if I do wake up early, it's hard to get up, but once I do get up, I feel a lot more energized and a lot better.
Okay. So the reason why I'm asking the why is because to get out of bed in the morning, you got to have a why. So think about your why being that you're going to go to the gym, or your why is you're going to walk the dog, or your why is you got to get off to work. So do you have a why right now, or you don't?
I'm currently not working a job just because I wanted to have the summer off, but I have been doing little projects around the house that could be my why.
Mm-hmm. Is there something that you want to go, are you in school and you're going to go back to school, kind of that scenario?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there something in this block of time, this beautiful summertime, is there something that you'd like to achieve, like maybe getting in shape or or having a new skill, or that could be, writing or computers or tech, or something activity-wise. Is there something that you want to achieve in this block of time?
I have been really inspired to paint recently.
Mm-hmm.
So painting.
Okay. And what is it about painting that makes you happy?
I just find it really relaxing when you can like put on music and then paint.
Mm-hmm. And do you have in your home, is the paint and all the tools, are they packed away somewhere and like they're, kind of, out of sight, out of mind type of thing? Or do you have a place in
Yeah.
your room where you could pull them out and they're there, they're ready?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Okay. So again, you could say for this example painting, but let's say a week from now it's a different goal. But let's just say painting. I want you to prep yourself before you go to sleep so that in the morning you're going to paint. And I mean, you want to
Oh.
plan it out so that you have your playlist on your phone or wherever you get your music, have a certain playlist in mind that's relaxing music or a podcast of relaxing music, kind of have that ready to go. Like it's not going to take you time to find it. You can, get it within a minute. Then you want to have all your materials there. You want your blank canvas to be right there, ready to go, paintbrushes or whatever you use to create. And if the piece is something you're currently working on, then have that ready, have the lighting there ready to go. So when you start your day, you're leaping into action. You're leaping into something that's relaxing, something that you set forth to do. So that is one way you can start your day. If you don't have all that ready to go, then you'll just kind of get out of bed, kind of saunter around, go watch TV. Before you know it, it's noon. Do you know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
you're gonna feel a certain feeling of, gosh, I can't believe it's already noon, versus if you're the painter and you don't have to wake up extra early, but you give yourself, okay, I'm going to use the restroom. I'm going to get some water. I'm going to have a cup of coffee. I'm going to take it all in with me to paint. I'm going to cue my music. I'm ready to go. And have your first hour be all about painting, all about whatever's on your mind. It might be emotionally painting. It might be, might be people, might be landscape. But can you see how if you start that, now you're starting with intention, you're starting with focus, you're starting with joy. And then you can replace that with whatever you want. That could be going on a walk. Every morning my shoes are going to be right by the door. My workout clothes are going to be right on my chair, right on my dresser, ready to go. I don't have to think about it. I'm putting on the shoes, I'm grabbing the dog, I'm out the door. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's what I do.
Yeah.
That's why I give you that example. I'm not looking for my shoes. I'm not looking for them in the morning. Okay, where are my pants? Where's my shirt? I actually do lay things out. I know it sounds like I'm a kindergartner, but I always think before I go to sleep what that next day is going to look like. And so I think if you do that, it'll help a lot. The other thing that I find to be really helpful is use the technology that we have. So when you wake up, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Apple Podcasts, wherever you get juiced up on your podcasts or music, sometimes I will, if depending on the mood I'm in, if I need to be focused that day, I will literally say to my phone, search videos of how to have focus on YouTube. Or I'll go to my phone and maybe I'm feeling that day just a little bit stressed out about something. I might say to Siri on my phone, find videos of how to manage stress on YouTube. And then up pops 5-minute videos, 20-minute videos. And before you know it, you've got a lot of people inspiring you. Things that they're going to open doors to things that you hadn't considered. I do that a lot with Apple Podcasts as well. I will go and look at all the different options. I'll do health and fitness. I'll look at all the different shows, pop on some, and I just need one word, one phrase, one nugget, and that can change your entire day. So maybe you take that walk, you take that time painting, even to listen to other people giving you words of wisdom.
Yeah, I really like that advice. Thank you.
Yeah. But the thing is, I get being a night owl. I was that one day too. Now I'm a morning person. I get up about 4 a.m. But the reason why I get up at 4 a.m. is I've got the clothes laid out. I've got my plan of action. And I am so excited. It's not a matter of, oh gosh, what am I going to wear? Or, what am I going to do? I'm like, okay, let's go. It's time to live full out. Can you do that?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let us know how it goes. We believe in you. And thank you so much for calling in.
Yep, thank you so much.
You got it. And for everybody listening today, when we're talking about achieving the impossible, sometimes the impossible is just getting out of bed with intention. Sometimes, like Jessica Cox, our upcoming guest, it's flying planes with no arms. Again, I can't wait to share that story with you. It's truly inspiring. We'll be back.
Life looks a little different. During these times, we're doing our best to keep our minds and bodies strong. And getting a flu shot helps us stay healthy, so we don't miss out on what matters. Like having game night at home. Yeah, can't do that while sick with the flu. Now imagine family movie night that your daughter can't live without. Well, that's ruined. And don't forget your uncle's socially distanced cookout. See, that's why it's important to be at our strongest. Every year, millions of people in the U.S. get the flu. Especially now, no one has time to miss out on moments that matter. So get your flu shot. Find out more at getmyflushot.org. Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer.
Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning. The cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about achieving the impossible. And we always try to find an inspirational guest that we feel really shows what it means to live full out in their life, but have gone on to do really amazing things. And Jessica Cox is just amazing as a person. Obviously, she has no arms, but she thrives. But she even has goals and aspirations that arms, no arms, it would be so hard for any of us. It may seem impossible, yet she's going to conquer it. And I believe in her very much. So I'd very much like to welcome Jessica to the show.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And this is so wonderful to share with your audience and to talk with you again. It's been many years since we talked last, and just excited to be on.
Oh, happy to have you here too, Jessica, truly. And I want to jump in. I know, being born with no arms was truly a medical mystery. There's really no condition or name for it. But I am curious, growing up, did you choose to have any prosthetics for either arm, or did you find growing up that it was easier not to? How did you navigate that?
I actually had the option from the very beginning. They don't start fitting you with prosthetic limbs until you're not. Usually, it's not when you're a baby. And I was about 3 when I was fitted with my first prosthetic arm, and then at the age of 5, I was given a second so I could have both. And then as I grew older, I was refitted because as you get bigger, you need to have longer arms and arms that are more fitting for your size. So I wore them for 11 years, and it was really frustrating because I was actually better with my feet. I could feel whether something was hot, cold, smooth, or rough, and my toes really could not be replaced because there's nothing like flesh and bone. And while the arms did serve me in some ways, I could carry certain bags or carry a book across the room, and it made that work well. But for me, though, I just was always better, more efficient, faster, and I had that sensation that I could do things with my toes. So after 11 years, I decided, enough of this. I've given it a good try. It's not better than using my feet. I think I need to move forward in my life, embracing my difference, and even if that means not always being accepted socially, this is important for me to do, and it made my life easier, not continuing to try to do something that wasn't comfortable for me.
Well, you know what? I'm so glad you talked about accepted socially because although I don't see well, I'm legally blind, but I remember when we first met in person, you were on the Living Full Out show, the TV version, and I remember being in the green room with you, and sure enough, I was having a bite of my sandwich with my hands, and you were having a bite of your sandwich, and you had it cradled in the arch of your foot. And I just thought that was just fantastic. And you didn't miss a beat. And I was thinking, wow, she is so flexible. I wish I could do that. It's really impressive, I think.
Thank you. It's amazing how we all start off flexible at one point in life, and it's just about kind of maintaining that by constant usage. And that's how it's been for me even now as I ate breakfast a little bit ago with my feet.
You know what, though? I think that is, use what you have. And again, I don't have my sight, so I use my hearing a lot. So I definitely get that. Now, I know for you, obviously, you do quite a bit of mentoring and you're out there speaking and you're all around the world and you live a very busy life. And I know you've got your husband, Patrick, by your side and you're out there, doing it. But I also know that you were maybe several years ago, reached out to you by a father whose daughter had no arms. And didn't she just recently come and like literally stay at your own home? Why have you chosen to take on mentoring in such a personal way?
It's very hard to be the only one in whatever regard that means. For me, it was like, am I the only one in the world without arms? And it's isolating. It's lonely at times. It's like, is there anyone out there who really understands me? And so I knew that growing up because I didn't meet anyone similar to myself until I was 17 or 18 years old. And when this father reached out to me on social media about his daughter was 4, actually maybe a little younger when he first reached out. And I was like, oh my gosh, here's an opportunity to make this impact on this child who would probably grown up not knowing anyone without arms, and here she is. She was born without arms, similar to myself. We have this common bond, and it'll make her feel like she's not the only one. And if she ever needed someone to ask questions or to feel like they understood her, here was an opportunity. So I met her when she was 4, and she's now 15, and I've known her, throughout the years. And she just spent a week with my husband and myself here in Arizona. And it was a very special week where she came by herself for the very first time, flew on a commercial flight. She'd never been on any plane before. And her parents trusted us because they knew how important it was for her to be able to come over here. And she was going through a rough patch. She was having a lot of social challenges and difficulties. And so her parents trusted us and put her on a plane in the big city where they live in a small town, but they traveled to the big city, put her on a plane, and we were at the other city to meet her as she got off the plane. And that brought the surge of independence and confidence from that independence. And she spent a week with us and never came to the state of Arizona before. I showed her a few things, and mostly I also engaged with people. And that social level of acceptance is almost more difficult sometimes. And I had friends over, and we went to public places and did that kind of stuff.
Why is that social acceptance so hard to get? It seems like people would be empathetic.
Well, that's the thing. Is sometimes we unfortunately get a lot of pity for, you see someone without arms and you think, oh, poor thing. And that's not what we want. We want understanding and, like you said, empathy. So we want acceptance. We want belonging. We want to be just like everyone else, especially in that phase in life as a teenager when you want to be just like everyone else. And so that's why it's hard, because we're dealing with all of these internal things as well of, will they like me? And, are they going to think I'm weird because I use my feet all the time? And if I sit in a restaurant and eat with my toes, will people stare at me? Will they laugh? There's all those internal conversations we're having, while at the same time trying to adjust to our social surroundings and be accepted. So it makes it all the more difficult when you're so different.
Yeah,
and it makes it more challenging to build that confidence.
You actually said that beautifully, and I can definitely get that. I want you to stay with us, Jessica. We're going to be going to a break, but as we journey along and hear more of her story, I want everyone to think about, what is it that you want to achieve that seems wildly impossible? Because I can tell you, coming up next, Jessica's had just those dreams and has made them happen, and she will definitely inspire you. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today.
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
I'm Nancy Solari, certified life and business coach. I want to invite you to the Personal Development Boot Camp. During the boot camp, we're going to be looking at taking those insecurities that you have and getting rid of them. We're also going to look at ways in which you can thrive and live a life full of purpose. Go to livingfullout.com/bootcamp, livingfullout.com/bootcamp to sign up. I believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
7 million children suffer from asthma, more than any other chronic disease. Most asthma attacks are caused by allergic reactions to allergens, including those left behind by cockroaches and mice. In fact, 82% of U.S. households contain mouse allergens, and cockroaches are found in up to 98% of urban homes. How can you protect your family? Find out at pestworld.org. A message from the National Pest Management Association and the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association. In partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about achieving the impossible. And I have brought you Jessica Cox, which, oh my goodness, she is really defies normal, defies what is possible. I think she's a little bit of a superhero, but let's welcome her back to the show. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you. Glad to be on.
Well, and Jessica, I really do believe that you have some superpowers. Now, your superpower, though, comes really in the way that you've overcome fear. And one of those fears was the fear of flying. Wanted to fly, you thought about it, you took the classes, and there was the day when you were with your instructor and, you finally got to take the controls yourself. And I'm just wondering, what was that moment like? There's this build up to where, your parents were great supporters. They didn't ever treat you different. You had to do all the workarounds to thrive and be independent. And then here you are literally flying a plane on your own. I can't imagine that moment.
Yes, it was, there are different ways of overcoming fear, and one of the things that I wanted to do was, well, for one, I was terrified not of heights so much, but losing contact with the ground. And so I needed to overcome this by, first of all, when I was given the opportunity to sit in a small airplane, and I'd never been in a small airplane, and I was like, okay, well, it's more terrifying than a big commercial jet, because on a commercial flight, you have hundreds of people in the plane with you. You're not looking at the cockpit, and it's different than going into say a 2 or 4-seater airplane. So I was invited for the first time in a small airplane and never been in one, and I thought, well, why not? Actually, I was a little hesitant. I wasn't as excited, but my dad almost committed me to the opportunity, and I went up, and I just remember praying and taking off, and then at one point in time during the flight, the pilot gave me the opportunity to put my foot on the controls, because there's dual controls, one on the left and one on the right, so you can essentially fly the plane from both sides. And he says, how would you like to feel what it's like to fly this thing? And I took my foot out of my shoe, and I reached my foot up on the yoke on the right side, and immediately in that moment, I was just like, wow, this is really empowering and so incredible, and a sense of independence that I want to become a pilot. I'm going to do whatever it takes to become a pilot. And in that moment, I made that commitment. And let's see, 4 years later after that, I became a pilot. It took a lot. It took a lot of instruction, a lot of research, a lot of studying, a lot of figuring out, because no one had ever done this before. No one had ever flown a plane with their feet before. There are many amputees who fly planes without legs or, with prosthetics, but no one had ever done this with just their feet and no arms at all. So it was going to be a huge undertaking, being almost a frontier in aviation in that kind of way. And it started though with the passion and that commitment. And once that was done, I could then start to slowly overcome my fear, because sometimes fear is linked to the fear of the unknown and not knowing what's going on. But as I learned to become a pilot, I was aware of aerodynamics. I understood, why does an airplane fly, and how do you keep it in the air, and all these different factors. And it started to slowly rid my fear. While I still have a little bit of that in me, just a tiny bit, that fear is actually a good thing, because it keeps me on my toes in the cockpit, and I don't just fully relax, which you shouldn't fully relax when you're a pilot. You have to be on your toes and aware and constantly ahead of the airplane. So if anything were to happen, you can do something about it before it's too late.
Well, and I want everybody to really picture this with all the controls that somebody would normally operate a plane with their hands. You were doing it with your feet. I mean, no special plane, the same plane they used with their hands, but you doing everything by your feet. And the thing is, you really had an endurance of only about an hour to an hour and a half flight, right? You just needed to, that's a lot of concentration, that's a lot of energy, it's a lot of core. But you were the first to do that with your feet. Now you're also going to make another first. You are actually building your own plane, and this plane will be able to be flown with foot controls. Can you share with us about that?
Yes. So we decided, after flying for, almost this year, 15 years of flying and being certified as a sport pilot, to fly solo if I choose to. We decided that after all this awkward flying for me, because I essentially made it work for me with what I was given. And the best plane that worked out for me was a plane from the 40s. I know it sounds strange, but it's the unique design, simplified things a little bit. It made it a little bit easier for me to fly. And I fly by crisscrossing my legs, one foot on the yoke, one foot on the throttle. The throttle's like the gas of a car. It's where you put in the power. And I have to fly in this precarious position. A lot of ab work, my feet are up, and the max endurance I have in this position is about an hour and a half. So in a certain way, in a way, compared to other pilots, I do have somewhat a limitation on my endurance versus others who could continue to fly, for hours and hours. So we needed to do something that would make it more practical so that I could fly longer distances, so that I could fly children with disabilities in the back seat and inspire them and change them for life and help them have that experience of saying, you know, if she can fly an airplane without arms, then I can do anything. And so we're building this airplane called the Impossible Airplane. And the website is theimpOssibleAirplane.com. And we said, we're going to build something that's never been done before. And it's an airplane that can be flown with just feet alone. So we're building an experimental airplane with a team of amazing volunteers. And they're putting this plane together out of a kit. So airplanes can be built from kits. I know it sounds strange, but it's possible. And many people do this, thousands of people do it across the country. And so we're building this from a kit, and the team is helping put it together. We are modifying the controls so that they can be on the floor and done with just feet. And so we've had other volunteers who are designing that part. And I just picked up a design yesterday. It's incredible, but we're going to have to test it out, make sure that I get good with these controls. And then together, we're going to put this plane together by, the goal will be the winter of 2024, have this all finished. And when it's finished, then do test flying. We need some test pilots out there, of course, to make sure this is safe. And once we have all that test flying done, our goal will be to circumnavigate the globe and share the message that disability does not mean inability by showing this airplane that's never been done before, showing the world that you can engineer accessible airplanes for all abilities, and that bigger picture that, you know, everyone should be given an opportunity, because there's no telling what they can achieve, no matter what their ability or disability is.
Wow. And then your ultimate goal is to fly it over the Olympics and the Paralympics in Los Angeles in 2028, which is really exciting. Yeah. I'm in California. I will be there cheering you on from the ground. And that's really, really great. And one of the things as we round out this interview today, you know, I know faith is important to you, Jessica. And you have to have faith when you're in the sky, when you're flying a plane, when you're creating from a kit an impossible airplane. And so when you consider your faith, just real quick, what do you lean on in that way to know that it'll all work out?
My faith is my rock, and it's the foundation of why I'm able to do the things I do, knowing that I do have someone who out for me and someone who's with me at all times. When I do things that scare me, or if I do things that aren't always comfortable, it's the foundation for why I'm able to do the things that I do and take the risk or opportunities, I could say, that I have, because I know that I have someone who's got my back. And for me, my faith has been a part of me since a very young age. And I was from a family that really had a wonderful faith. And so I was fortunate to have that. I was fortunate to have that community, faith community as well. And just since the beginning, it was hard to come to terms with being different, especially when, as I mentioned before, I was the only one. I had a brother and a sister, and they were born with their arms and hands. And it was always, why me? And I wasn't exempt from that. I asked that question a lot. I went up to my mom and asked her, and, she said, be patient, Jessica. God has a plan for you. And that almost gave me the sense of comfort of knowing, maybe there is a bigger plan. And I had to kind of just be patient about it. And here it is unfolding before my very eyes, and in ways I know that I'm able to really touch people, to give them hope and inspiration in ways that if I had arms and hands, I wouldn't be able to do. So it's been a gift, and it's been a true gift, and it's allowed me to have this tremendous faith to do some amazing things and reach some amazing people, a reach that the most powerful arms wouldn't have. So my faith is what I go back to when I have rough days of, not everything is going to be perfect, and there are some tough days. And so I go back to my faith and say a prayer and have gratitude. And then I'm able to pull myself back up and say, okay, what's next? We got through this rough patch, but let's move on because our struggles and our difficulties make us stronger, make us better, and helps us to grow. And our perseverance and resilience to get through it is the real learning lesson from that.
I love that, Jessica. I really do. And I mean, once you conquer the plane with your feet from the kit, I don't know if there's a plane for those that don't see. I've never thought about flying a plane, but when I hear you talk, I do feel anything is possible. And that is why you are such a treasure. So thank you so much for being on the show today. And we'll be looking for you 2028 over the Olympics.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks, Jessica. And for everybody listening, wow, it is about knowing that you can achieve the impossible. You just have to figure out what that is for you. Maybe it's flying a plane. Maybe it's getting a boat and sailing off. Maybe it's starting your own business. Maybe it's starting a family. Whatever that is, you just have to believe. We'll be coming right back after this break, but the most important thing is that you identify what it is that you want, that you don't just think about it, that you actually tell others about it, because that's how a dream comes to life, is you have to give it wings, you have to give fuel, and it will fly. We'll be back.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
When it comes to achieving the impossible, that's right, it's not impossible. You can do this. You just have to think about what is it that you want to achieve. What does it smell like, taste like, feel like? Who's there? Who's cheering you on? Who's a part of making it happen? Visualize that, then work backwards. Put together the steps you're going to take to make that dream come true. And when you're in action, guess what? You are living full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. We've been talking about achieving the impossible, and truly, we all have that ability. Now, I'm not saying that we have to go out there and do grandiose things like, climb the highest mountain, the biggest peaks in the world. You don't have to go out there and fly a plane, but you gotta have something. And I really mean that, because not everybody gets to take the breath of life and play the game of life. And you've got it. You've got this opportunity. And it's going to come with heartbreaks, and it's going to come with wins. And you got to weather those storms when they're in and out of all that. But again, this is such a rare opportunity to know that you can literally go in one direction, have several chapters of your life, a career for decades of your life, and then say, I'm going to pivot. I can't tell you how many guests we've had on the show that have had multiple careers, multiple lives. You could soak up one life with just one of their lives, and you have that ability as well. You also want to think about stretching yourself, trying to get outside that comfort zone. There's been times that I've tried things and I'm like, not sure how this is really going to go. Afterwards, sometimes they went well, and other times I just pretty much said, well, we'll be not doing that again. But at least I can say I tried. And when you can step out there, who knows? You might really excel at it. It might even be like famously a game changer for you, meaning that you might be the first of your kind to be able to do that. When I say of your kind, maybe you do something that's really amazing that would be so easy for those who were either taller or shorter, but yet you do it. Maybe you have a disability and that's impossible. You can't do that, but then you do it. Or maybe you come from a certain background in terms of your childhood and that will never happen, and then you do it. But you got to be able to take that risk and take that chance. I know for me, years back, I had the opportunity to take the Living Full Out show and make it a TV show. And it was hard to decipher what that was exactly going to look like, because there's a lot to reading a teleprompter sometimes and being able to endorse sponsors and who's coming up next and explaining, a guest that we're going to have on the show. And we kind of played around with, having a sidekick, and would they do all the heavy lifting of the things that needed to be read. And ultimately, when we came through it, it ended up being that I had a little earpiece in my ear, and it wasn't like my producer dictated every piece of copy to me. She just mainly told me which camera to look at, so that was helpful. And once I knew which camera and she called it, then I would look that direction, and she would maybe tell me go a little bit more left or a little bit more right. So as my producer is giving me these commands and I'm hearing them in my ear, at the same time, in my mind, I'm not speaking the copy I memorized, but I will have done a lot of legwork, a lot of research on the guests I was going to have on the show. And here I was, telling their entire story, not reading a teleprompter, but actually just being able to speak from the heart and speak from my mind. And same goes with how I would voice endorse various sponsors and talk about their products or service. It would all be in my mind. So now I want you to picture being me, visually impaired. You've got your producer talking in your ear, giving you commands. You're in your own mind rattling off points of someone's bio or points of someone's business or service. Meanwhile, smiling, looking at the camera, having fun. And I will tell you what, it was a lot of fun. Not just fun, but a lot of fun. It's kind of like in life when we get on that roller coaster, right? Now, I don't know if everybody loves them, but I do. But I get on them and I think to myself, how does this roller coaster stay on the track? This is going to be the one time it goes down the hill and runs off the track, right? I don't mean to sound like morbid, but, I think we've all thought that when we're on a roller coaster. And there's this moment where you're going up, click, 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 and you're going to go down, or you're going to whirl around and go upside down and what's ahead of you. But that is a lot how hosting that show was for me. It was exhilarating, scary, sweaty palms. But then every time we finished a show, I was excited for the next one. And so in life, I want you to be excited for the next one. But yet, in order to do that, you have to think about what is something that is impossible, something that is multi-layered, wildest dream scenarios. Because here's the thing, if you don't have a top wild dream, let's say there's the top dream, impossible dream, then there's like this realistic dream somewhere in the middle, and then there's, lower than that, something that you tried, it didn't work out. If you hit that in the middle dream and you're like, yay, I did it, then you may never go for anything higher if you don't have something impossible. So always have those various levels, the wildest dreams impossible, I'm middle of the road, I'm so happy if I achieve it, and then I bet you will achieve the impossible one. So everybody, thank you so much for listening today. Make sure you go to livingfullout.com or go to the App Store, look for the Living Full Out Show and listen to us on the go or at the gym, wherever you like. I truly believe in you. Get out there, achieve those impossible dreams, because after all, that is what it means to live full out. I know you can do this. No one's got it better than you. You just have to believe in yourself and keep stepping forward.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Here's to you, living full out.